Hi everyone. We are in our final week of self-compassion, the self-compassion train.
Yes.
I am Tony with Harper Therapy, and I am here with wonderful Alina.
Hi everyone.
And so she's going to talk to us today. I think the first week we introduced it. The second week we talked about where it came from. Last week we were talking about changing that volume, and this week we're going to okay, so you've changed the volume, but how do you even recognize it?
Right.
What steps do you take for that?
Right. So I think some of the things that we hear in session are, I see that I have this mean voice, but I don't even know what a nice voice sounds like.
Right.
Because it's like it's so foreign to us to even think about being kind to ourselves or compassionate with ourselves. I don't know why that is. It's kind of sad, but I think most people in the world aren't very nice to themselves. And I think a lot of our issues in life come from people not being nice to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like a snowball effect where it just starts to get worse. And I think just as a society, we've learned kind of how we've somehow shifted from family time and stuff where it's like work. Our mentality is the same thing, like aim higher, get bigger,
hustle culture.
Just keep going, keep pushing. So it makes it even more difficult to recognize that softer, nicer voice inside when you're like, well, no, I have to keep pushing. I have to keep going.
Yes, I love that. It's the softer, nicer voice, just kind. So one way we, thought we'd kind of help you figure out how to get to that voice is just thinking about we call it the inner loving parent or the wise adult. But when you think about someone that you love a lot, like in meditation practices and stuff like that, they talk about this loving kindness and thinking about your child or your animal, pet, dog, cat. I have a friend who has cows,
I love that.
the way that you feel towards your best friend, your spouse, the way, not always your spouse for sure, but the way that you feel towards these kind of just innocent, vulnerable little beings, right? And the way that you would talk to them, that's kind of what we want to access to be able to turn that back in towards ourselves, right? So it's
absolutely.
There's no way that we would ever talk to someone we love that much the way that we talk to ourselves in that mean voice, right? So if something comes up and you think, well, how would I tell? And I know this kind of sounds cliche, how talk to yourself like you would your best friend, right? But what we're saying is not necessarily that, but even questioning or becoming curious about how would you talk to a best friend? How would you talk to a beloved child or animal,
or even your parent, maybe just somebody who, I would think most people, if they came to you with a problem, no matter what level of friendship, you don't always look at the worst and be like, oh yeah, you suck, it's totally why you did that. I think in general for other people it's really easy for us to be like, oh, that must have been so terrible for you.
Right.
You shouldn't be hard on yourself, though. Everyone goes through that. I know, your story last week about forgetting your credit card, the instant, but you're yeah, of course you forgot your credit card. I forget my credit card and my kids are grown.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think a big step of it is pausing, and I think I have found in doing these lives with all of our clinicians, one of the biggest trends is people learning to pause.
Right. And again, that's an act of mindfulness. I think when we think of mindfulness, a lot of people think about having to sit on a meditation cushion and just ohm it up all the time, which I'm a fan of. I
like it.
But I also think it's just that pause of taking a minute to be like, okay, what's actually going on right now? What got me upset? There will be times during the day where I'll be on social media or I'll look at something and I notice that right after I'm feeling a certain way, and I have to just take a second or a minute and be like, what got me there? Oh, it was this post about this person and the way they parent or this family it's just I'm able to kind of root out that weed that sprouts up in that moment. Because otherwise it's going to, like Tony has said, it's going to spiral and snowball into something else. So I really have to kind of take a moment in that moment to see what's going on. And most of us, again, this stuff is so automatic, we don't even see it. But we have to just start, right, by taking a step back, taking a pause when we're feeling super anxious or super angry. What else is going on underneath?
Absolutely. And it's not a natural thing for us to do. We're so used to, I think, self-care has been pushed so much over the last few years, but people almost go to find distractions, like to go do something rather than, and I'm not saying you have to sit on a pillow and ohm it up, as you say, but it's just that 10-second pause. And I know it sounds like, well, that's going to be weird if I'm sitting here talking to someone and I feel, it's really not as long as you think, or even to put a pin in it and be like, okay,
let's come back.
I want to get a little curious about what was going on for me right there. Yeah. And it's just getting into that practice of being able to pause and recognize what's going on for you to reconnect.
Right. And the last thing I'll say about that is, like, I want to be completely transparent that this is not easy. This is hard work. Yeah. And it doesn't come naturally. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It doesn't come naturally. You know, I think part of the benefit of therapy is that you are hearing a different voice and a different perspective, and you're able to get some feedback from an objective person and just have someone reflect something back that's different to you. And, you know, I know for me, when I'm not being nice to myself, I'm not likely being nice to the people around me.
So valid.
Right?
So valid.
Right. So a big benefit of doing this work is that, yes, I'm nice to myself, but the people around me really benefit from it. And I also get to be more present because I'm not constantly living in what did I do wrong or what am I going to do wrong or I effed up with my family or this or that. It's like I'm able to just be present for my life and the people around me who matter the most. So, you know, to me, that's worth the time and energy it takes to do this work.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
So this wraps up our Self-Compassion Month. And if you feel like you need a little bit more love in your life, give us a call at Harper Therapy, 813-434-3639. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.